A bunch of blue-collar fellas take it upon themselves to rescue their kidnapped buddy from Colombian drug lords, getting Robert Duvall and Gary Busey killed along the way. We watched Let's Get Hairy as we continue our look on Alan Smithee films, today on Nothing Movies. We're rolling.
We're rolling.
Solid intro.
Well, I don't know. I was just gonna go right into it, but then
okay.
you set me up with that solid gold.
Ooh, that perfect layup.
Right
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Fred Durst.
Any opportunity you'll have to throw in some Limp Bizkit, you'll take. Yeah.
Absolutely. Number one Limp Bizkit superfan over here.
What were you gonna tell me
I
about
was just gonna
Fred
say
Durst?
Fred Durst, of course. We're talking about a director today. Fred Durst, of course, has transitioned into a directorial career. But
Has he done more than just that one with John Travolta?
Yeah, he has made three. He also made a family football comedy starring Ice Cube.
I vaguely remember that.
But he has, as of yet, he has not made a movie so bad that he has decided to take his name off of the project. Fred Durst, one of the last true auteurs currently working.
Very proud of his output.
Yeah,
okay, good.
absolutely.
Good for him.
Well, another solid intro, Jameson. Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify.
It's our signature
Absolutely.
around these parts.
Absolutely. It's what the people come to expect from us.
Yeah. Oh, how they're going to start this one off.
What
Greetings, weary traveler. Welcome back to the show.
What new metal band from the early 2000s are they going to find a way to shoehorn in? Welcome back to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the fuck is this? It's the podcast where we go through an actor's or director's filmography and find the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I'm Kaz Lesgard.
And my name is Jameson Rafter.
It is?
It is. Last I checked.
When was I going to hear about this?
Let's not do this.
Okay, joke abandoned.
Abandoned ship.
Speaking about names, today we're talking about a very important name within the film industry. We are, of course, 2 films into our miniseries on the films of Alan Smithee, and today we are talking about 1986's Let's Get Hairy, a message movie. And that message is, don't fuck with Illinois plumbers.
God, no. Yeah, it's a real testament to the American spirit, the can-do attitude. If there's trouble in some other parts of the world, well, some good old-fashioned American know-how will see it through.
Exactly. When the government lets you down, just grab the yellow pages and hire yourself a contractor.
That's right. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and save the day. Yeah.
It's a real men-on-a-mission movie. Not jumping ahead to my final thoughts on this movie, but this movie definitely seems to me, anyway, based on my research, probably one of the most competent Alan Smithee movies to come out. It's certainly a far cry away from our last episode that we talked about, which, since I've brought it up here, this would be an excellent time for me to issue a correction. Turns out I spent the entirety of our last episode calling the movie by the wrong name. I spent the entire time calling the film Burn Hollywood Burn, an Alan Smithee film, but indeed the name of the movie was an Alan Smithee film, Burn Hollywood Burn, like you would read it in the opening credits of a movie. So, apologies to the estate of Alan Smithee. I am so sorry for saying that in the wrong order.
You made us look like a bunch of chumps, Kaz. Thanks for that.
I didn't realize that until I was editing it, and I'm all like, oh fuck, I just spent the entire episode saying it backwards. It doesn't...
There. We all make mistakes.
Well, thank you.
Where were you going before that? I forgot your initial point.
Oh, just that this is a much better movie than that.
It was a better movie. I'm going to say it felt like there were 2 different movies there. There was a point where I noticed a shift where it seemed like another director had taken over it, but at one point I was thinking, yeah, this is starting off kind of stupid, and I can see why a director wouldn't be proud of it. And then it seems like they got a firmer grasp on the steering wheel, and they came out with a better-made movie. So I was curious, like, why did someone want to take their name off this?
Well, of course, the whole point of Alan Smithee, I mean, you're exactly right, Jameson. Like, basically every movie that we talk about directed by Alan Smithee did essentially have 2 directors. Sometimes it had 3 or 4 different directors.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's not always the case, but what's interesting about this movie is the cursory research I did looking into it, and obviously none of these Alan Smithee movies have like a ton of information out there. No one wrote exposés on these movies or anything.
Right.
I have no idea who the pitch hitter director was. Like, if they did bring someone else in to direct additional scenes, which it seems like they did.
According to IMDb, yeah, that's what happened.
But there is no name attributed to this person, so it might be an uncredited first or second unit director. It might be one of the producers. Hard to say. It definitely that information is not out there. But originally, this movie started off as the brainchild of the great film director Sam Fuller, who makes lots of men on mission war type exploitation movies.
Rah America kind of stuff.
Exactly. But he sort of abandoned it at one point in time. He still has a story credit though. But the actual director of Let's Get Harry is Stuart Rosenberg, who is a great journeyman filmmaker from the 60s and the 70s. He has a countless list of credits that I won't go into all of them here, but he has two big movies that you've probably heard of. The first one is the fantastic Paul Newman prison movie Cool Hand Luke.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Did you ever see that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad sat me down and watched it alongside with him. And
that's a real dad sitting you down on the couch and say, here's some culture. Yeah, he's a cool customer. He goes to jail for breaking parking meters, I believe, something like that. And the warden
doing the big dirty.
and the warden tries to break his spirit. But that Luke, here's the thing you got to know: he's a cool customer.
Yeah, that's right.
One might say he has a cool hand. That, of course, is the movie where the line "What we have here is a failure to communicate" comes from, and it's also known for the scene where Paul Newman eats like 30 eggs. Yeah.
And
on a dare.
And just perfect opening with that busty lady washing the car.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I just think it's funny when Paul Newman eats 30 hard-boiled eggs. It's like the coolest anti-establishment thing that you can do. When I eat 30 hard-boiled eggs, I just have gas for a week, and no one wants to be around me. So that's,
lovely. Good to know.
I don't know. Paul Newman and I, we share a lot of DNA. We both have lovely blue eyes. So I don't know what's different about that.
Okay.
But the other.
Thanks for the heads up. I'll think twice next time I ask if you want to grab brunch or something.
That's okay. I've only had 8 this morning.
Okay. Oh man.
I wasn't
Clock's ticking.
Wasn't feeling that hungry. But the other movie Stuart Rosenberg is probably best known for is the original Amityville Horror.
Oh yeah.
A horror film that has spawned just like about
countless ripoffs and
the thing is like actual entries in the Amityville Horror franchise. There's maybe like 7 or 8 of them.
Right.
But there are countless films that have Amityville as part of their title.
Yeah.
That like shouldn't be roped into that franchise. But according to Wikipedia, they are. I don't really know the reason behind that. I mean, like, we're getting into, like, ridiculous shit now, like Amityville Chicken.
Amityville Asylum, Amityville
Island.
Shark.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus
basically,
Shark.
Basically anything. Amityville Octopus versus Amityville Barracuda. Yeah. But yeah, he directed the OG original film, which, is a horror classic, despite the fact when you go back and you watch that first movie, it is boring as fuck. I really don't understand why it got the reputation that it...
I guess people were just, like, easier to scare in the 70s.
Well, and of course, the thing with that movie is that it has the whole, this is based on a true story. This actually happened, you guys.
Yeah.
And, the real case involved classic grifters Ed and Lorraine Warren, who now have their own film franchise where they're shown as saintly Christian people played by beautiful Hollywood actors, when in real life they were pretty deplorable. Okay. So it's like, there's a long history of, like, taking shit that isn't true and making successful horror franchises out of them.
Gotcha.
And Stuart Rosenberg was right there at the beginning. So Let's Get Harry is Rosenberg's penultimate film. This was right at the tail end of his career. And the reason why it comes adorned with the Alan Smithee title is thanks to the involvement of one man, Harry himself, Mark Harmon, who at this point in time was quite famous for the TV show Saint Elsewhere.
Okay.
You ever familiar
I've
with
heard
that?
heard the name.
It basically was the Grey's Anatomy of its time. It was all like, what if doctors were sexy and had personal lives? It's the show that introduced Denzel Washington to the world.
Okay.
It also famously has one of the most cuckoo bananas series finales of all time.
Oh, is that the snow globe ending one?
The entire show takes place within the mind of an autistic child who's holding a snow globe.
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
that I'm aware of.
Yes,
I read like a crack.com article
I think
about
everyone's aware of that. Even if you've
Yeah.
never seen an episode, you're aware that it has
that. Oh, that's the one with the fucked up ending.
Yeah, where it's like several seasons of this show where you fall in love with these characters, and at the very end, it's like, guess what? None of them actually exist. Well, it's a TV show. None of them existed anyway.
Right, yeah.
But an odd way to end a somewhat serious medical drama. But at the time of this movie, Mark Harmon was blowing up on that show, and the year previous, 1986, had just been named People Magazine's Sexiest Man of the Year.
Right. So this, like, his role in this movie, I imagine, was relatively minor in the script, because he's the one who gets kidnapped in Colombia, and his buddies have to go on
He's the one they have to get.
They have to go and get. So I have to imagine, because of the success that he had on that show, producers took one look at their movie and like, hey, we have this guy for like 2 scenes. Can we maybe bump up that to 6 scenes?
Not only did they bump up the scenes, in the original cut of the movie, Harry does not show up until the end of the film.
Okay.
There is no opening scene where Harry gets kidnapped. Everything that exists before that ending was shot by our unknown mystery director. Well, Alan Smithee.
Right.
We'll just call it Alan Smithee stepped in.
Right. So by adding in those filler scenes, I'm going to say filler scenes,
yes,
to boost this hot up-and-comer, yeah, that's what pissed off the director and said, like, this isn't the movie I originally envisioned.
That is correct.
Take my name off of it.
That is correct. And in a rare take that, a surprising take that I didn't expect to have, I kind of erred on the side of the producers.
Yeah, me too, a little.
If the movie's called Let's Get Harry and the whole mission is going to get Harry, we kind of have to meet Harry.
We have to know what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. And the scenes with Harmon being like held at gunpoint, you know, like they don't detract from the movie or anything like that. You get a lot more FaceTime with the film's main villain.
Yeah.
So that really bumps things up. So I kind of agree with the producers.
And in all the scenes before his buddies go into Colombia to go and get him, there's a lot of chatter about like who Harry is, and that just draws your own curiosity. Like, my God, this person sounds wonderful. Like, it sounds like the town savior, where they have plaques and statues dedicated to this guy. Who is this Harry fellow? And then at the very end, we just find like, oh, he's just a white guy.
He's just exactly. I mean, Mark Harmon is the antithesis of just a white guy. I feel like today he's best known, of course, for being the lead of NCIS, inexplicably one of the most successful TV shows in the history of the medium.
Yeah.
Which probably has to
Go
do...
figure.
Well, it has to do with them cornering the untapped market of grandpas who want to watch naval crimes at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's right.
Which was a bigger slice of the pie than I think they realized. So yeah, that's why they have that. But outside of that, and it's not like Mark Harmon is really known for much else. You know, he didn't really go on to have like a terribly successful movie career, but I think it makes sense. It would have been interesting to see, I suppose, the director's cut of this.
Yeah.
It's one of the rare instances where studio interference
helped a little.
Yeah, kind of helped the movie out a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
I got some more thoughts on his involvement in the story, but we'll get to that when we actually talk about the movie. Did you have like other Alan Smithee stuff?
Oh, buddy, do I ever! So let's pick up where we left off. I'm gonna go through a couple of more films in the career of Mr. Alan Smithee. Now, the first two that I want to talk about have some caveats attached to them. In these cases, these are cases where Alan Smithee was a pseudonym that wasn't necessarily used for the director of the film. This is Alan Smithee branching out into other areas of the film industry. So the first film I want to talk about is 1981's Student Bodies, whose poster makes the claim of being, at last, the world's first comedy horror movie. So I guess fuck you, Abbott and Costello. There was definitely the horror comedies before this movie came out in 1981.
All right, fair enough.
This is a broad parody of slashers of the time, like Friday the 13th and the like. The director was Mickey Rose, who was a contemporary of Woody Allen's, who started off writing for lamb chop ventriloquist Sherry Lewis.
Oh, wow.
Being a first-time director, the producers placed Michael Ritchie, a filmmaker known for films like Fletch and The Bad News Bears, on set as a guiding producer. Reports say that Ritchie ended up co-directing most of the movie, and while his directing work is uncredited, he used the pseudonym Alan Smithee for his producer credit,
Gotcha.
due to an ongoing Writers Guild of America strike, meaning this is the rare film that was produced by Alan Smithee. This movie, according to the Wikipedia article I read, sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that I might just check out on my own time. In particular, I want to thank anyone, the person who contributed this section explaining some of the bits of this movie to Wikipedia.
Okay, so bits. I imagine it's like an airplane spoof.
It sounds like it's a
Okay.
very broad airplane spoof. Apparently, every time a murder happens, there is a murder count that pops up on the screen
Okay.
where the thing goes up.
Yeah.
I wanted to read this. This is verbatim from Wikipedia. Student Bodies contains no sex, nudity, or graphic violence, or even foul language until 26 minutes into the film, where the action is interrupted by a man sitting at a desk. He explains that in order to achieve an R rating, the film must contain full frontal nudity, graphic violence, or an explicit reference to the sex act. He intones that R-rated films are by far the most popular, so the producers of this motion picture have asked me to take this opportunity to say, fuck you.
Very Monty Python-esque, I'll
Yes.
say, yeah.
Also, one of the film's oddest aspects is a character called Malvert, a creepy-looking janitor. Malvert mumbles, does bizarre things like urinate into a wastepaper basket. Malvert was played by a tall, double-jointed stand-up comedian known only as The Stick, who made no other films. Several online reviews give the film a mixed reaction, but praise The Stick's performance. So that was kind of interesting.
Okay.
Footnote there. So the next film that got an Alan Smithee credit is actually the rare case where a first unit director took the Alan Smithee name. And when I say the name of the movie, you're probably going to guess immediately why that was. It was the film Twilight Zone the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where
what's his name?
Vic Morrow.
Vic Morrow died in a helicopter crash.
Vic Morrow and two children
yeah.
were decapitated by the blades of a helicopter under the eye of director John Landis, who inexplicably went on to direct some of the finest comedies of the 80s after the fact.
Yeah.
A huge,
Needed a little pick-me-up.
a huge point of contention in the film industry. People still argue to this day whether or not Landis should have been charged for criminal charges. Very depressing thing that happened. That movie, as a result, is completely cursed.
Yeah.
And yes, indeed, while Landis didn't take his name off of it, first unit director Anderson House took his name off of the film. So if
Okay.
you watch the end credits of the movie, Alan Smithee shows up there as well, too.
Okay.
Another thing that happens with Alan Smithee is sometimes big-name directors will choose the Alan Smithee credit when it comes to TV edits.
Yeah.
of
Yeah, you
their
mentioned that,
movies, which is the case, which happened with David Lynch's 1980 adaptation of the film Dune. David Lynch, of course, recently rest in peace. He chose to have the credit of Alan Smithee for the edited TV version. In addition to that, his screenwriting credit has been replaced with the pseudonym Judas Booth, which is a combination of the names Judas Iscariot and John Wilkes Booth.
Okay.
So, famous asshole, famous betrayers.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us what you really think of the TV adaptation, David.
David Lynch, always the jokester to the end. All right, moving on to Alan Smithee's film credits. 1985's Appointment with Fear, whose poster claims that it is from the man who brought you Halloween, making you think John Carpenter might be involved in some way.
Right.
Indeed, the man who brought you Halloween is in fact producer Mustafa Akkad. This film was originally filmed as a movie called Deadly Presence, but after Mustafa Akkad saw a cut, he fired director Ramsey Thomas and reshot a bunch of the footage himself. This movie is about a man under the influence of an ancient Egyptian curse uses astral projection to kill those who protect his baby son from him. A woman and a shady cop try to stop him before he can get to the child and transfer the curse. So that's an Alan Smithee movie.
All right.
We've also got 1985's Stitches, which
Okay.
is another broad comedy. This one about wacky medical students.
Gotcha.
This stars the Wishman himself, Jeffrey Lewis, Juliet Lewis's father. 1987's Morgan Stewart Comes Home is a John Cryer comedy coming a few years after 16 Candles. This movie replaced its director midway through, and its replacement director was so unhappy he chose the title Alan Smithee.
Okay.
After 7 years in boarding school, Morgan Stewart is finally coming home. He discovers it's not the same happy home it used to be, so he decides to reform his social climbing, politically inclined parents, and things get a little out of control.
Okay, that sounds pretty standard, I suppose, for like a family comedy from the 80s.
I mean,
why did they take? I don't know. I have to look into why
Exactly.
they were so pissed off at the end product that they just washed their hands of it.
well, if they had said anything more than the director wasn't happy with the final project, it would have been written somewhere in the IMDb trivia. It's not on the Wikipedia page.
Oh.
Here's the thing about these Alan Smithee movies. Most people don't care enough to actually write down what happened about them.
But we care.
Actually, you know what? We'll get to the bottom of these.
Yeah, we're putting a keen eye on this.
There's definitely a couple that I think we'll talk about next week that
Next week?
have a little, you know what I mean, in the parlance of this,
Next episode.
I know we're not recording on a week-by-week basis, but they don't know that. We can give them the impression that we're churning these out at a faster clip than we're doing. It's about keeping the illusion up. But 1987 was a big year for Alan Smithee. He had 3 films come out in that year. One of them was Morgan Stewart's Coming Home. One of them we might just talk about next episode. But the final one that I want to talk about today is a film called I Love NY, which is a semi-autobiographical movie from fine art photographer Gianni Bozzacci, in which Scott Baio romances the daughter of a famous actor played by Christopher Plummer.
Oh, wow.
Now, this movie does take place in New York, but that is not why it is called I Love NY. It is because his love interest...
those are her initials?
Those are her initials. So it's playing on words. It's playing on a phrase that we're all familiar with. It's making you think one thing,
Yeah,
but it's
the
something
producers
completely
secured the right for that title, and they're like, write me a movie about this.
different. Yeah. So yeah, that was all I really wrote down about Alan Smithee this time. He still has a few credits to go, but I wanted to save those for next week. But but let's get hairy.
Yeah.
Let's.
What an odd title.
I love it. I largely sort of bookmarked this one just because it is.
So we can say, like, all right, everybody, let's get hairy. We're getting hairy.
Which is the same thing I say every time I walk into a gay bathhouse. There's some hirsute gentlemen in there.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, the main cast of this movie couldn't possibly be more 80s.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, just like the central 4 guys themselves are all crazy up-and-comers who have some of, like, the most iconic 80s films under their belts. So the 4 main guys in this movie, we got Corey, played by Michael Scheffling, who just previously was playing the hunky love interest in 16 Candles. So both of
we got both of them.
Both of the male leads of 16 Candles went on to do Alan Smithee movies, so that's rather interesting.
Okay.
We got, of course, got the great Tom Wilson,
Jeez.
who just the year previous came off of his debut film, Back to the Future. So this is in between the Back to the Future movies he made this.
You know, he is so iconic as Biff that, like, I forgot that, no, that's actually an actor by a different name. I saw the Tom Wilson credit in the opening of credits of the movie, and my first thought, I shit you not, was, the hockey player?
I mean, that one's over my head. But, I mean, Tom Wilson is a pretty basic name.
Sure, yeah.
For anyone to do. Kurt, who is played by Rick Rossovich, who at this point in time had been in two of the biggest movies of the 80s. He's in The Terminator. He plays the boyfriend of Sarah Connor's friend who gets murdered by the Terminator at the beginning of that. And he's also in Top Gun as Slider.
Yeah.
One of Maverick's wingmen.
Right, yeah.
And then the fourth guy playing Spence is someone named Glenn Frey, who doesn't seem to have much of a film career here. Interesting that he has the same name as famous rock star Glenn Frey of Eagles. A little weird here. No, it's so weird that he's in this.
Yeah.
It's so weird that this is his film debut. He has this amazing...
Well, the 70s as hell mustache.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Pretty great, yeah.
He should just been walking around in an Eagles shirt the entire time, and I would not have second-guessed him.
I mean, I'm jumping ahead a bit, but there's like a joke when they're in Colombia and they go to a hotel. And someone has the line as like, well, it's not the Beverly Hilton and all that. Come on, you had Glenn Frey right there. The joke is it's not exactly Hotel California.
Exactly.
And yes, I know he didn't sing that song, but he co-wrote it, so it absolutely counts.
It works. I'm
sure he was the backing
resonates.
track. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure,
yeah. Weirdly, Glenn Frey only acted in 2 movies. The other one being, I know you've mentioned this isn't a film you've seen before, but it's weird. I didn't remember that he was in this. His only other film appearance is Jerry Maguire.
I brought that up?
No, I didn't bring that up. I know you mentioned you haven't seen
Jerry
Maguire on our Tom Cruise episode.
I was gonna be like, how the fuck would I know anything about Jerry Maguire? But anyway,
no, I didn't know that until I looked this up today. But yeah, apparently he plays like a coach who signs Cuba Gooding at the end, so it's all like, so that's it. Glenn Frey of Eagles, his 2 movies, Jerry Maguire, best picture nominee Jerry Maguire, and Let's Get Harry.
Yeah,
like, how fucking random can you get?
Just like the polar extremes, and he only works in those areas.
Yeah, and then, the rest of the cast is no slouch either. We have 2 Oscar winners, Robert Duvall and Ben Johnson.
Burying the lead there with Robert fucking Duvall in this fucking movie.
Who I kind of assume, because he gets the and in this, I kind of assume maybe he'd be in it for 1 or 2 scenes. No, we get a lot of Duvall, and he's pretty great. No, speaking of burying the lead, Mr. Gary Busey, Academy Award nominee Gary Busey, playing my favorite character.
Just the absolute fucking best. And
just Busey up to 11 in this movie, and he's fucking incredible.
Just like his choices of the, every once in a while. Every once in a while. It's exactly what fans of late career Gary Busey would hope to see.
Yeah, late career Gary Busey, where you don't start feeling bad for his mental health. Gary Busey.
Right.
There is a point where Gary Busey will show up in a movie, and you'll be all like, "You doing all right, buddy?
It's not. Right? It's not funny anymore."
Does someone have eyes on Gary? Can someone get him a chair, please?
But no,
he starts eating it.
He's fantastic in this movie.
So good in this movie.
I love his first 3 scenes. I'm just like standing over for him.
His first 3 scenes, and then all of the subsequent scenes after the fact. He's great. But Jameson, shall we get Harry?
Let's get Harry, Kaz.
All right, we'll take a little break, and when we come back, we're gonna get so fucking hairy. You're not gonna believe how hairy we get.
It'll be scary.
Oh. Well.
All right, see you.
I'm a fairy. That's all I can think of. I don't know. Cut to commercial. We don't have commercials, but cut to one anyway.
Cut to anything. Welcome back, everyone.
We're back and we're ready. We're ready to get them.
Yeah.
We gotta get them.
Born ready.
So the film opens in a scene that the director didn't want to include.
Nope. It seemed a little haphazardly slapped together.
I mean, it's the cold open.
Sure.
It is setting up It's so weird that the director didn't want to include this because
it seems super necessary.
Yeah,
you need to see
it's setting up what fucking happens in the movie.
Yeah.
It sets up the motivation for getting the characters out there.
Yeah, you need to see this guy get kidnapped.
It would be so weird if the film, because it stands to reason that, like, in the director's vision, it would have started with, like, the four guys going back to their house, and then Harry's dad is just all like, they got him.
Yeah.
They got Harry.
They got my boy.
Like, that's a weird fucking way to open this. But the film that we watched actually opens in Bogota, Colombia. Or maybe not Bogota, but it's definitely in Colombia somewhere, where Harry is a contractor, and he's working on I think like
some kind of refinery.
A hydroelectric dam or something.
Something like that,
He mentions that they flip a switch, and then the town is going to get, like, a bunch of power.
Sure, yeah.
Or whatever. But,
He's on loan from some plant in Illinois to oversee this project. He's meeting up with some U.S. ambassador who's going to do the ribbon cutting ceremony or something.
It's so funny because they're talking to one of, like, the government officials later on in the movie, and a little bit of throwaway dialogue. The guy's being very dismissive. It's all like we're not like trying to rescue, like, dignitaries here. We're trying to rescue a plumber and a no-name ambassador. And I laughed at that. I don't think this guy gets a name. If he does, I didn't remember him being introduced. I think he is literally just U.S. ambassador.
No, he does have a name.
Okay.
I don't remember what it is.
I don't think it's important.
But one of the first few lines in the movie is Harry going up to this guy, and he says, like, "Oh, Mr. Ambassador," and the guy says, "It's like so and so," and I'm like,
"Sure."
You didn't get a memo on what this guy's name might be who you're meeting for this important project?
No.
Harry Berg? How you doing, Mr. Ambassador? I'm Rebel Doug.
Yeah. So it's Harry's last week on the job before he goes back home.
Last day on the job. He's getting on a plane tomorrow. He's 1 day away from retirement, Jameson.
Yeah. When all of a sudden this band of insurrectionists and terrorists come by, one of whom is decked out in an awesome pink jacket.
Yeah.
There's some lot of 80s flair with some of the goods.
Not exactly blended into the jungle surrounding here, but, you know, we find out pretty soon that these, in fact, aren't terrorists. They're actually just a roving band of drug dealers.
Sure, yeah.
Who are trying to get some of their people released. From the U.S. government, and they want to trade the life of the U.S. ambassador for all of these drug dealers. And poor Harry is just collateral in all of this because like I said. Don't you fuck with a Chicago contractor because he picks up the biggest wrench imaginable.
Yes, right.
And just starts busting terrorist heads because he's fucking Mark Harmon. Goddamn, he's gonna be the star of this movie whether you like it or not, Stuart Rosenberg.
You know, 9 times out of 10 on movies like this, the person who gets kidnapped alongside the important dignitary is killed to show the important figure that these terrorists mean business. They're not here to fuck around. I think Harry has more dialogue with his captors than the fucking ambassador does.
Yeah, this ambassador...
He really takes a back seat to Harry.
Exactly. Well, the ambassador is the one that, like, the government should care about. He is the one that where, like, all of the terrorist leader has all of, like, the chips necessarily. Like, I have this guy.
Yeah.
Harry is completely disposable. There are multiple scenes where the drug dealer is all like, you've become an annoyance to me, and you keep trying to escape. There's really no you're completely unimportant. You're just a plumber. There's really no reason to keep him around. All right, take him away. Yeah. The movie keeps him around because if they don't, there wouldn't be a plot.
Yeah, really.
for us to watch here. But these two guys got, and they got stuffed into a back of a van.
Yeah. Then we cut back to, I guess, like the big factory in Illinois.
Aurora, Illinois.
Yes. It's quitting time, and everyone, and I fucking mean everyone. Like, there's a lot of people that work in this fucking place. Yeah. They're eagerly awaiting the return of their hero Harry, with the big banners and everything.
They got a big old sign.
Yeah.
And we meet our initial quartet of good buddies. Corey, who is Harry's younger brother. We meet Bob Pachowski, who's
Biff.
Who's Biff?
Yeah.
Who's played by Biff. We meet Spence, who's played by Glenn Frey, whose thing seems to be he likes a little bit of the nose candy.
He
every
certainly
once in a
does,
while.
yeah.
And then we meet Kurt, who is the one family man, who is unfortunately styled as like the coward of the group, but like you can't blame Kurt that much.
I would say the most sensible of the group.
This is objectively an insane thing that they decide to do.
It's the stupidest fucking thing. I'm like, oh man, my brother got kidnapped by some Colombian terrorists. Well, you know what? Let's round up a posse. We're gonna get our buddy ourselves. And I'm like, no, you're gonna get yourselves fucking killed.
It is amazing that Kurt goes along with this for as long as he does.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, Kurt is a tremendously good sport.
Yeah. I love how, like, you know, they're all just devastated by the news, but then, like, a scene later, like, they're watching football, and Corey's just like, how can you guys sit around like this when Harry's been kidnapped? Like, what do you expect him to do?
You know, I know exactly what they expect. He expects them to go get Harry.
That's right.
That's what you gotta do. Because they go to these big. Anyway, we're jumping ahead here. But I don't know. You mentioned that football game. Did you notice this TV that they're watching?
Yeah, it was like slanted.
It was like curved.
Yeah.
It was like a weird like LCD thing, but it's like from 1986.
Yeah.
I was just all like, what's the deal with that TV?
And they just had like a wall full of white VHS tapes behind it. I'm like, what a fucking setup.
I believe this is Kurt's house. He has like that. It's an amazing man cave.
Yeah.
Like he has like a bunch of like collector's mugs on the wall.
Yeah.
The TV is like curved and it has like wood paneling.
Yeah,
I'm all like,
yeah.
oh, I would live here.
Absolutely.
I would absolutely.
This would have been my setup back in the day.
Absolutely. It's like this. This is where I go to watch the football game. I'm not going to fucking Colombia. I'm not giving all of this up. Oh yeah, and my wife and kids. Yeah, but
well, whatever.
What are we gonna do? So it's quitting time. Our four boys are driving to Corey's father's farmhouse.
Driving with the top down in the middle of fucking December.
And, like, this scene immediately endeared me to these characters.
Yeah.
It's so great. Like, Bob / Biff is driving this convertible. All of his buddies immediately start giving him shit. Like, it's freezing, it's winter.
He's like, you bunch of crybabies.
Oh, but it looks so cool. He throws them a bunch of blankets, and there's a great scene where they have it over their face and all like, you're right, Bob. The scenery is fantastic. He stops to get an entire keg of beer, and he forces it in between in the middle seat in the back of all of them. It's like it's great banter.
Yeah,
I immediately like these guys.
It's so stupid, but like I can't help but be like, oh man, this is gonna be fucking hilarious. Like these fucking idiots going to Colombia in like a go America, like we're gonna pull ourselves by the bootstraps and save our buddy. This will be great. I'm loving every part of this. And then like the fucking cherry on top is Gary Busey is in their lives.
Yes.
As well.
So I think that happened shortly after that. But yes, they do go back to the farmhouse. It's all decked out with banners that say "Welcome home, Harry." And Harry Sr. is sitting there, played by Oscar winner Ben Johnson, who's sitting there, and he's all forlorn, and he got a phone call and he said, Harry's been kidnapped. They got my boy! And we find out pretty quickly that it definitely seems like Harry is the favorite son.
Yep.
Because poor Corey and Bob immediately get on a plane. They don't do nothing. They get on a plane and they fly to Washington themselves, and they try to talk to the people, and they're only able to talk to their aides.
Yeah.
And they talk to one stuffed shirt in a bow tie.
Yeah.
There's no dialogue in that scene, but the choice of having this guy in a bow tie, immediately to say, oh, like, this guy's a piece of shit. This guy's not helping them at all.
This pencil neck geek here, like that's Washington for you.
Exactly.
Fuck the government. They're not doing anything for the common folk.
That's shorthand for government incompetence.
Yeah,
if you wear a bow tie.
The wimpy government stooge there. And I absolutely got the vibe that Harry Sr. is just thinking to himself, the wrong kid got
kidnapped. Absolutely, because he's all like, if you got kidnapped,
your boy would settle this once and for all.
Harry would go back.
He'd be fed up with us. And
then eventually someone has like a throwaway grace note. He's all like, I'm sorry, Corey. I know you did all you could. But there's like a little tinge to his voice where he's all like, the wrong kid got.
Yeah.
And so this just adds more fuel to Corey's fire that he's gotta go get Harry.
Yeah.
You gotta do it, Harry. You gotta do it, James. You gotta get Harry.
You gotta do it.
And
government ain't gonna do it.
Yeah. And at this point in time, I think it's around the time that they're watching the football game on the amazing television that we both want, where we're introduced to Smilin' Jack Abernathy,
How you doing, folks?
played by Gary Busey, who is a larger-than-life car salesman.
Just like at the top of his game in this.
Just love it. Just loving every minute of it.
Oh, it's so
Hi, Smiling Jack Abernathy here. You know, you can look on the north side of town, you can look on the south side of town. You can look on the east side of town, you can look on the west side of town. You can look all over town. But when you're ready to buy, you'll end up here. Tell them why, honey.
Smilin' Jack says, make your own deal.
Yeah, you pick out the color, the make, the model, four-door sedan or convertible. Tell me what you can afford, and you'll make your own deal. Then you'll be smiling too.
Years ago, when I lived in Edmonton for a brief period of time, I went to see Tom Wilson's stand-up set.
okay.
And the thing about Tom Wilson is that he is a clean comic. He
Oh.
does not use dirty language.
Okay.
The thing about Tom Wilson is he's most famous for playing the villain in the Back to the Future movies. But the other thing he's known for is just being an absolutely delightful fella. No one has any bad words to say about him. He just seems like a lovely man. But as part of his stand-up set, he brings out a guitar and he sings a little song that is essentially every question anyone has ever asked him about his career and specifically Back to the Future. So like he has lines like, what's Michael J. Fox like? He's nice. What's Christopher Lloyd like? Kind of quiet. What's Crispin Glover like? Unusual. But poignantly, I remember there's a line in the song where he goes, who's the nicest person you've worked with? Adam Sandler. Who's the biggest asshole? Gary Busey. They apparently did not get along on the set of this movie.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yes, Gary Busey seems like a bit of a larger-than-life guy. I know I've used that to describe him twice now.
But he seems like he follows his own leads and kind of goes over the other actors' heads.
Marches to the beat of his own drum, certainly. Yes.
So, what do you think the prior relationship is with Gary Busey and these four guys? Because they seem to know each other. I don't think it's like small town thing, but he recognizes them almost immediately at a bar.
I think Smilin' Jack is just like the local celebrity, right? I think he just like knows everyone.
Yeah.
He's
and
just like
the other local celebrity is fucking Harry.
That's right. Everyone, yeah. And that's the thing is like the three of them are sitting at a bar and they're drowning their sorrows because they don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And then Smilin' Jack comes in with his floor model on his arm or whatever. He immediately sees these guys. They're not like friends, but he knows that this is Harry's brother and his buddies, and he genuinely comes over and says like, I'm really sorry about what happened to your brother. This is complete bullshit that the US government isn't going over. Bartender, whatever they want, it's on Smilin' Jack.
Yeah. And then he leaves. The guys don't address that this car magnate bought him all around. They barely acknowledge him while he's there.
Well, they're sad because they got Harry. They got Harry. The thing you have to remember is they got Harry.
I guess so, but like fucking Gary Busey just comes in like a fucking tornado and takes care of their tab
Well, to be
and
fair,
leaves.
To be fair,
I would acknowledge that.
To be fair, it's hard to match Gary Busey's energy.
Sure.
The best actors can rarely do
Yeah.
it. But Smilin' Jack is on the table. But Corey has had enough. And he says that we got to go to Colombia ourselves.
Yeah, and through the power of friendship, we'll only do this if we all go together.
It only works if all four of us go.
Yeah.
And poor Rick Rosovich is all like, again, I have a family. There are people who will miss me if I am gone.
This seems like a suicide mission, but all right.
But again, he humors his buddies enough for at the very least to hold mercenary auditions.
Yeah.
What a great scene.
We meet mercenary men.
What a truly fantastic moment in the movie.
It's a perfect recipe for comedy because, they just get a copy of Soldier of Fortune magazine and they just call up all the people that post their services in there, and they have the range of the crazy intense people, the people who are just legit insane, and yet there's no jaunty, goofy music to go along with it.
Well, yeah, it's not commenting on it, right? It knows that it's ridiculous and trashy enough on its own.
Right.
But yeah, the first guy shows up and he takes off his clothes and he's dressed like Sylvester Stallone. He says, "Call me codename Rambo."
Right, yeah.
And then the next guy shows up and he has one of those, what are those
Butterfly
knives?
knife.
The butterfly knife, and it a little subtle work from the actor here where it's you can tell the guy cut himself, but he doesn't want to acknowledge that he cut himself. So he moves. He's like, "I also have these? One guy is just like downing pills and booze like right in front of them, says it's for my malaria.
Right.
Yeah, just like obviously psychopaths that they don't want to take seriously. And then in walks Norman Shrike, played by Academy Award winner Robert Duvall with a completely shaved head.
Giving sick goatee,
giving full Apocalypse Now energy.
I love how he comes in from the back of the room. And, the guys are facing the door of the barn, and they're like, how did you get in here? Like, through the door. And I'm just like, oh, they kind of acknowledge, this guy means business. This guy's the real deal.
All the rest
because
of them
he came in through the back door.
All the rest of them went through the back. This guy knows what he's doing. He understands that buildings have more than one door.
I think we found our guy. Yeah.
And let me tell you, when you want to do shorthand for explaining right away that your character is a badass, give him the name Shrike.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing more badass than an adorable little bird that impales rodents on thorn bushes. Truly one of the most metal animals to exist.
Yes.
Shrike is the real deal. He has like a Congressional Medal of Honor, which we'll later find out, of course, has a tragic backstory that did it not remind me of Tim Allen in El Camino Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
But we can move on from that.
Right, yeah.
But he knows what he's talking about. He's saying all of the right things. He's an actual veteran.
Like, he's got the intel on the Colombian drug lord that has kidnapped Harry. Like, he just knows who these guys didn't seek him out. Like, I guess they skipped over his ad. He just knows to find these guys. He knows that they're on a mission to get Harry.
He knows.
He knows.
He heard through the grapevine that someone's out there looking to get Harry, and he's all like, maybe I
can get in on this. That's just, this kind of seems right up my alley.
And obviously he is in this for the money. We don't really we get like little hints of Shrike's backstory. I guess we can jump ahead to the fact that he got his Congressional Medal of Honor because several men who were under his command in Vietnam ended up killed, and he's forever haunted by the looks on their faces. So it's like, it's all like, I got a medal for serving my country, but to what end? I came home and they didn't throw me a parade, they spat in my face. Things of that nature. I'm overacting, but of course Robert Duvall, one of our great subtle actors, is completely playing this role straight. He's giving it full gravitas.
Absolutely. According, read the IMDb page for yourself, but he really did his research for this. He went to like a couple of gun shows and Merc training camps or something, and picked up a ton of mannerisms from the head guys and learned all those stories and incorporated that into his performance.
The character originally wasn't supposed to have a shaved head, but after he went and talked to these guys, he just came to set one day with the shaved head and was all like, this is what Shrike looks like. And hey, good choice. Because the look really works. So they hire Shrike. He says like, we're gonna go. We're gonna go to Colombia. Don't worry about how. One of them supposedly says, should we get passports? He's all like, definitely do not get passports. That's the one thing you don't want.
Now, here's my big question for this movie. Now, of course, during the time of the 1980s with the U.S.'s big drug war on Colombia, I don't think there was a travel embargo on Colombia. So it would have been like as expensive as a plane ticket for them to at least get to Colombia. And then when shit hits the fan, the government at least knows that, these guys are in Colombia. Why do they fucking sneak in?
Because I don't think they want the government to know that they're going to Colombia, because they tried doing it the right way. They tried doing it above board by going to the government and saying like, hey, are you going to go get Harry? And they're like, no, we're not going to go get Harry. And so they're like, they got to do it illegal. They got to do it. They got to do it under the table.
They got to go through the black market channels and everything.
And as we find out, it ends up not mattering, because as soon as they land in Colombia, the government almost immediately recognizes that they're there. And I'm sure it would have been flagged if like the brother of the guy who's being held in Colombia all of a sudden buys a plane ticket to Colombia. I'm sure that should have made a monitor somewhere light up, probably.
Oh my God, they're going to get here. We can't allow that to happen. We already said no.
The light starts blinking. Is all like, the Get Harry light's going off. Oh man, this hasn't gone off in years. So obviously they need money to pay Shrike, and they got to pay for expenses, and they're all making plumber salaries.
So they go to the richest guy they know, Smiling Jack Abernathy.
And they try to. I think the bankroll is like 40,000.
Yeah.
He says, and they appeal to his hunting instincts because, of course, Smiling Jack is a big game hunter. It's the one knock that I have against him. Yeah, he's got like antelope heads on his wall. He shot like a silver black rhino, and he's all like, "Man, if I hadn't killed that, I wouldn't be sitting here right now." And I'm all like, "Sure, Smiling Jack. Sure, I'm sure that's exactly what happened."
Well,
big game hunters can fucking kiss my ass. I
Oh,
fucking hate
of
that
course,
shit,
of
but whatever.
course, yeah.
Smiling Jack gets a free pass.
Yeah,
Because he sacrifices himself,
but also
for the cause.
We kind of just like see later on in the movie that he is a bit reckless around animals.
Yeah.
I'll
More on that later. On Smiling Jack's amazing catchphrase.
Yeah. So he says like, "Okay, I'll bankroll the trip, but if there's a hunt going on, like I'm always in on the big hunts." So.
And both, I assume, like me, Jameson, you threw your hands up in the air at that point. It's all like, "Yeah, Busey's on the case.
Let's go.
Fuck yeah, he's part of the team now."
He's the only one that goes to the jungle in camo, which is appropriate.
Yes, he's the only one that guy. It is funny once these four fucking guys hit Columbia and they're walking down the street and it's all like, man, no one thought to dress appropriate for this trip. They're all wearing like blue jeans and fucking
their Yankees cap. And
yeah. Well, I mean that's Shrike.
The one guy who should know better.
Yeah. No.
I love how it's settled and we're all going to Columbia, and then immediate cut to them in Colombia on boats. Yeah. And I'm like, you don't even want to have like a scene of them, I don't know, catching a plane?
No time. There's no time. They got there. We know that they're going there. Why waste time showing them on a plane or anything like that? We gotta go. We gotta get Harry.
And then as we said, once they disembark from the boats, Gary Busey steps on a fucking alligator.
And seems unperturbed by us.
No.
Steps directly on an alligator and he just goes, "Whoa!" And he walks away chomping on his cigar.
And that's a real goddamn alligator.
It's a real alligator. And has a look. The alligator has a look on its face.
Like, what the fuck?
Hi. Fucking sitting here.
Yeah.
Hello.
And I'm like, this movie rules.
It is pretty dope.
I'm having a great time.
I will agree with you, Jameson, that it's a little confusing because we don't see them get on a plane to Colombia. The first scene we see of them in Colombia is them approaching a plane. And I thought at this point in time was all like, okay, here's the plane. This is them going to Colombia. No, they are in fact already in Colombia, and we're going to meet Shrike's informant, Big Mickey.
Yeah.
A man with an eye patch who wears a Mickey Mouse shirt where Mickey Mouse also wears an eye patch. So
that's just branding.
He got that custom made. He did.
The Disney company does not know of this. Like, they disavow everything with Big Mickey.
Big Mickey understands branding.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. He's within the drug dealers in Colombia. He wants everyone to know what his deal is immediately.
Yep. And he's like a drug runner or something. He's going to fly them to a connection where they can buy a car from some local hidden away in the jungle. But almost immediately, the military police, the Colombian military police come by.
The corrupt military police,
exactly.
Of course, naturally, yes.
Yep.
So yeah, they climb into like the... It is really funny, these
six guys cramming.
Six big guys climbed into this shitty car that basically won't start.
Yeah.
It is so funny how much like bravado and professionalism Shrike brings to the table, and then as soon as they get to Colombia, everything immediately go tits up for them.
Yeah.
And things couldn't go more wrong, essentially. So yeah, they're chased down by the I want to call them the Federales, but I don't think that's correct. I think that's a Mexican thing.
Okay.
But
I can't confirm or
right.
deny. Yeah.
But the Federales drive them down.
Yeah.
And they point machine guns at them, and Shrike's all like, the other running gag is that Smiling Jack has their bankroll, which is just like a big wad of cash that he keeps in his sock.
Yeah. And it's always like, okay, that car is going to be like $3,000. Like paying this guy, that's going to be $1,000. And it's like, how much fucking money did he have in that wad of cash?
So Duvall, a running joke is Duvall keeps asking Busey for more money.
Should be the other way around, if I'm being honest.
It does remind me of that Simpsons bit where Bart keeps asking Homer for exuberant sums of money, and Homer just unquestioningly just like gives him like, "Give me $500. Here you go." Yeah. He just that's our one Simpsons per episode. There we go.
Yeah.
But Busey is able to bribe the captain of the guard with $100, which really Seems like you should have bribed him more than that,
Well,
but it works.
It's U.S.
to
currency.
a point.
It's U.S. currency.
That's
so,
true. It
yeah.
is. It is U.S. currency in the 80s. So
Yeah.
that's a good. But it works to a point because they still shoot out their tires. So this car that they just paid like $3,000 for, completely useless now. And
Yeah.
now they got to go on foot.
Yeah.
Busey has to step on more animals on the way.
During that chase sequence against the Popo there, they toss all their guns. And I don't think they're too far away from where they toss them. I don't know why they couldn't just go back and get them. But now they're in a situation where they need to arm themselves.
Well, and it's a weird point of contention, too, because after they toss the guns, Glenn Frey's all like, you brought guns? I didn't think you were going to bring guns. And Robert Duvall was all like, we're in Colombia, man. At the very least, we have to, like, protect ourselves.
Also, you're going to storm a drunk kingpin's
exactly.
compound
Yeah.
on a rescue mission. Like, how the fuck do you think you were going to do this? Like, just ask politely? Like,
I mean, obviously...
what is their plan here?
Obviously, at some point in time, they need to acquire guns within Colombia. But yeah, it is interesting that Duvall brought a lot of guns with him, only for him to throw them out.
Yeah.
And then there was another scene where it's all like, I'll take that too. And he slowly starts massaging Busey's undercarriage, but nope, he has a Smith & Wesson tucked in
Is that
there,
a gun in
too.
your pocket? And you just happen to no, it's literally a gun. It's that old joke.
Busey smiles wider than anyone has ever smiled before and goes, it's both, actually. So they check into the Knot Hotel California. Rick Rostovich's other role in this movie, weirdly, is to take his shirt off at any point in time. No one else takes their shirt off.
No, but
there's multiple scenes where he's just all like, I'm just gonna get this off here.
Yeah, I don't know. He's the tallest. He's the most ripped. Like
He had just
something for the ladies in the audience.
He had just shot the volleyball scene from Top Gun, so I think obviously he's all like, I need to get this on film as much as possible.
Also, it's fucking Colombia. It's hot.
Exactly, it's hot.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's hot down there.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, and at this point in time, Shrike's maybe acting a little sus. He is asking them for like huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
He doesn't explain why.
Don't ask me what I'm doing with your money.
Don't ever ask me
what I'm doing with your money.
I'll take the money. It doesn't mean you need to ask me what I'm fucking doing with it.
It's none of your business.
Exactly. Also, they ask for 2 rooms, but only Shrike gets the single
his own
room.
private
All
room.
5 of the other guys have to share a room together.
The rich guy has to camp out with the
Yeah. So they're starting to think like maybe this mercenary we hired out of the back of a magazine, maybe he's not on the level. So he says like, I'm going. All of you stay here. Don't leave the hotel.
So they tail him.
So yes, they do. Well, yeah, it's the brother. It's Corey and Pachowski tail him, and they lose him in a crowd, and they are immediately cornered by Colombian street gang. But all of a sudden, Robert Duvall shows up. He's got like a lead pipe or something,
Yep.
and he
Beats the shit out of them.
Beats the shit out of all of them. There's a great moment where after all of them are down, he just does like that. He just goes like, "Woosa!" He's just like tossing the thing around. It's all like that's unnecessary, but he knows it looks cool.
Absolutely.
He knows he looks cool.
Absolutely something he picked up from that mercenary camp that he shadowed, and it was just
Definitely.
like, it was just like
He
someone.
saw one guy too, and he's all like, "That's in the movie."
That guy was just showboating for the big Hollywood guys. Like, oh yeah, we totally do this after we take down a guy. You
Definitely,
you
yeah.
want him to write that down.
So Shrike he hooks up with Alfonso, who is his gun
Arms dealer.
Arms dealer,
Yeah.
his arms dealer contact, and this fucking idiot over here. For the listener, I'm pointing it at myself, but this fucking listener over, this fucking idiot here, I'm sitting down, and Alfonso, like he has like this big palatial estate or whatever. He's got like a swimming pool and butlers and peacocks and whatever.
Yeah.
And Shrike's all like, I need guns for a mission, and Alfonso's all like, yeah, like I got enough money. Just pay me
Whatever
you feel is like necessary. And Shrike's
Sure.
all like, what about $3,000? He's all like, oh, more than generous. I'm all like, this is interesting.
What a nice guy.
What a nice guy. Usually arms dealers are like unscrupulous, but this guy seems like a nice fucking idiot.
Yeah.
What am I? Of course, he
Or
immediately
you can
stabs them in the back.
You can pick up your guns in this location. We get there, and it is the clearest spot for an ambush I have ever seen in a fucking movie.
Yeah.
So I guess he tipped him off to the federales because he's a bad hombre.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we're not experts on Colombia. We don't we don't know what things
Yeah.
are called down there.
So I saw Narcos once, all right? Yeah. So so the guys are imprisoned in Colombia, and they're trying to beat some info out of Robert Duvall. Is like, you're like, who sent you? And like, nobody. We sent yourself. You expect us to believe that? They're honestly telling the truth, but they're trying to torture the information out of them. And it was around this point that the movie, for me, seemed to have a big tonal shift, where it seemed like it started getting way more serious. Because now the reality of what these fucking idiots are doing.
Yes. It wants to be sort of like this carefree jingoistic movie where it's all like, regular guys getting the job done. But no, it does.
It's the Joes versus the Pablos.
Yeah. Oh my God. And that's our episode, ladies
There
and
you
gentlemen.
go.
No,
Oh my God.
that should have been the tagline.
Jesus.
Should have been the tagline. Should have retroactively put that on the poster. Maybe we'll do it for the DVD release. This movie still has never been released on DVD.
Oh wow.
You can only rent it on YouTube. Thank God you can.
Yeah, really.
I suppose if you want, you can buy it on VHS. But anyway. Yes, so, Shrike gets got with a taser a bunch of times. They keep telling him the literal truth. No one sent us. We're just really dumb. And
we figured we could do this ourselves.
We did not think this through clearly.
Yeah.
And they all get loaded.
We were hoping to be back in time for the Bulls game or something.
Yeah, we go down. We get some, what's a Colombian drink? Not Mai Tais. I don't know. Rum. They drink rum down there,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Should have done some reading on Colombia. I don't know. But
it's a beautiful country.
We'll go down there. We'll have some laughs. We'll have some drinks. We'll get hairy. We'll go home.
Yeah.
Right. But no, they all get loaded into the back of this truck. They're all freaking out. They're all like, they're gonna take us out to some farm. They're gonna put bullets in our heads, and it's all like, no one's having a good time now.
Yeah.
They're not. Even Smiling Jack has lost his trademark smile at this point. Things are not looking great for our heroes. And they get to an airplane hangar, and they start walking, presumably to their doom.
Yeah.
But then this stuffed shirt comes out of nowhere, and he's all
I'm
like,
from the American Embassy.
"Gentlemen, I'm from Washington," and their buttholes immediately unclench, and they're all like, "Oh, thank God!
Yeah. Like,
Thank God, someone came to save us from this very dumb thing that we've decided to do."
We're sending you boys home just to put your minds at ease that the government actually was in negotiations
I know
for the
we
release.
said we don't negotiate with terrorists, but this time, this one time, we've actually been negotiating with terrorists from the very beginning.
You boys forced our hand at this. You cleared our heads, and you were in the right on this. So we'll take it from here, gentlemen. We'll take care of all your bills for the hotel and such. All your gear and clothes are in the back. So at ease, man. Well done.
Up on the get on this plane. We're gonna send you home right now.
Yeah.
Right now. We cannot wait like another minute. We're gonna send you home this minute. And they all walk into the back room, and they're all happy, and they're all they're resolved in the fact that someone much more competent than them will get Harry.
Yeah.
But Shrike hands behind because Shrike isn't so sure about this government man.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
man from Washington.
This man looking out for our best fucking interests to keep us from killing ourselves. Yeah. So he correctly deduces that no, they're like, that was just a lie to get us the fuck out of here. And so they have to escape the confines of the government in a kind of lame escape from an airplane as it's taking off.
Oh, I'll push back on that. I the fact that there are, obviously it's not the actors, obviously it's stunt people doing it, but like jumping from a moving airplane onto like a tarmac while the plane is like spinning around, that's a decisively, maybe it's not like it's not Mission Impossible they're hanging onto the side or anything like that, but
it would be exciting if the plane was in the process of actually taking off instead of just
it is in the process of taking off. It takes a while to get airborne.
It's taxiing to the runway, and it's making like a slow turn. They jumped out at the safest possible time.
Well, not exactly, because Tom Wilson fucks his leg up as you would. It's a long jump from the airplane down to the tarmac.
Sure, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a soft landing.
It definitely ended up kicking them in the nuts a little bit. And they all escape except for Kurt, who is the only sensible one out of all of them.
Yep.
And on the way out, his friends call him is it Jack or is it Shrike that calls him? I don't know. Someone calls him a pussy.
Yeah.
And it's
bad form. I'll say.
Very bad form. And then later on, Shrike is all like, don't worry about it. Every man has their breaking point. And Kurt's not exactly a coward because they all get off, and when they start running away, one of the guards inside the airplane points a machine gun at them, and Kurt tackles the gun so his friends don't get shot, and he gets punched in the jaw because of it. And then the plane takes off, and that's Kurt out of the movie, presumably going home to the safety of his wife and kid, which is where he never should have left in the first place.
Yeah, they're probably worried sick about him if she hasn't left him already.
100% on Kurt's side on this one.
Yeah.
He made the right call here.
I mean, like, if I were ever in a situation similar to Harry, I would be touched if my friend said that, oh man, if only we could do something. We are going to do something about it. I'd be like, oh, that's so sweet of you guys. I wouldn't care if you didn't try doing that either. I would totally understand.
I would be touched if you thought of doing it. If I managed to get rescued somehow and I came on, it's all like, we were almost going to go down to Colombia and get you ourselves. And it's all like, look, I bought a plane ticket.
Yeah,
that would be enough for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I would be all like, you know what, guys? That's more than most friends would do.
I understand that it's impractical to do that, and once you sobered up and realized that that's a bad idea, I would have understood.
Can we briefly talk about the interior design of this airplane?
What the fuck was up with that?
Did you notice, the wallpaper? This weird, 70s floral wallpaper for the inside of an airplane.
It looked like the carpet in the hotel in The Shining.
What was the point of that?
I don't know.
It's just like one military guy got bored one day and is all like, I'm going to spruce this up a little bit.
In our chairless, doorless airplane, we need to gussy this place up a little.
They just get into the airplane and it's all like, why is there a vase of lemons here? I needed a splash of color.
Yeah, all right. We had an excess of carpet and no paint, so we had to do something.
Very, very odd, but I definitely noticed that. Yeah, weird interior airplane and TVs in this movie were notes that I wrote down. At some point in time, we do cut back to Harry and the ambassador, who are being wined and dined by the
Carlos
drug lord
Ochabar.
Ochabar. Great look on this guy. He's a great weaselly little guy.
He always dresses like he just stepped off the set of Miami Vice.
He really stands out because all of his henchmen are big, tough, burly guys, and he really is this diminutive sort of he looks like an accountant.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who this actor is, but I really liked his whole deal for being the villain here and
as he's matching wits with Harry,
while offering him roast chicken and stuff. Great villain stuff.
Sure, yeah.
It's not a ton of development here, but what we get is pretty good.
Sure, yeah.
These basically go nowhere. At one point in time, Harry and the ambassador try to escape.
Caught almost immediately.
I mean, there's where are they going to go? There's nowhere there for them to go.
Yeah, and in
the jungle.
And in any other movie, he would have been killed. As an example for this is why you don't try to escape, Mr. Ambassador.
That's right.
But no, at this point, Harry's the big prize.
Harry's the prize. Harry's the one that the ambassador almost seems secondary. It's all right, this government guy is also here. Maybe he has a name. Who knows? So they escape from the police or whatever. They climb into the jungle. Shrike patches up Tom Wilson's leg and he tells his tragic backstory about how all of his men died and everything, and how they shouldn't blame Kurt for not going because none of them were trained for this.
Yeah. He drops this one line. He says, "You never know what you're going to do until you do it." To which Corey says, "So what does that mean now?" And he says,
"It means things have changed. That means the only way your brother's coming home is if we go in and get him ourselves."
And I'm like, so nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
This was your plan all along.
That was always the plan. The name of the movie is Let's Get Harry. That was always plan A. Plan A, get Harry.
Getting caught by the Colombians and handed off to the U.S. Embassy, that was just a speed bump in this plan of yours.
Doesn't really seem
detour.
Doesn't really seem like they have much of a plan other than get Harry.
They don't have a plan.
No, at all.
There are many times.
Even Shrike doesn't have a plan, and he's the one that's supposed to be leading this expedition.
There were multiple times throughout this movie where someone asks Corey, "What have you thought of doing once we actually get to the compound? What do we do when we get upriver?" And his answer is, "We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll figure it out." And
figure
I'm
it
like,
out with our can-do American spirit.
It's
Because
like
if we work together in the power of friendship, there's nothing we can't
That's
achieve.
right.
There's no one we can't get.
yeah.
Yeah. So they go. They
They go back. Well, they go back to Alfonso, who's
Yeah.
looking at some weird viewfinder
Yeah.
of pictures of ladies.
That's what you had to do back in the end.
That's
That's
right.
what they had. There wasn't no Instagram.
No internet porn.
No,
yeah.
you had to look at slides. You had to look at like individual slides
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like a weird little viewfinder, and Shrike sneaks up on him, and he gets
He
the
does a
information.
trademark sneaking in through the back door. And
So he like escapes. He gets like a bunch of information about where the drug lord is and where to find them and everything. Shrike goes back to the guys who are hiding out in the bush or whatever, and he passes on the information. And one of them asks them, "Is all like, well, what makes you think you can trust him this time?" And he says, "Something in his attitude convinced me." Cut to immediately, Alfonso is dead, and Shrike shot him in the head. A very good edit.
Yeah.
A very cool, badass, sort of like a fuck you line.
yeah, that's
buddy. Yeah.
the sort of thing I wish I wrote for Kilroy.
Right. Yeah, and at this point in time, Shrike is all like, okay, you have like these semi-automatic Uzi guns.
Yeah.
The bullets don't go where you hope they'll go. They go where you aim.
Yeah.
Bullets do not go where you wish, they go where they're aimed.
I'm just like, say that again? What?
Yeah.
Like, bullets don't go where I want them to go? What? We're civilians here, buddy.
Keep it with
The most competent shot other than you is Gary fucking Busey.
Right. Keeping with not including the scene with them flying to Colombia, you do sort of think that like maybe in the build up to this, Shrike might have gotten the gang together and at the very least took them through some basic
Training.
Yeah. Some basic target shooting.
Yeah.
At the very least, and at the very least, before they get to Colombia, see if everyone has fired a gun.
Yeah.
Once, one time,
Yeah.
might not be a terrible idea, but I'm not the mercenary here.
No.
I'm not the soldier of fortune. I'm not telling him how to do his business.
No, but I guess Americans just have that innate ability to like, okay, well, time to soldier up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't yet mentioned Smiling Jack's catchphrase. Which is absolutely fantastic. As the multiple scenes with them trudging through the jungle, and they spy various animals, and this is where we learn because we of course know Smiling Jack as a world traveler. He's gone all over the world. He's killed animals all over the world. And the first time they see an iguana, and he says like, man, you should have killed that iguana. They're a delicacy. I've had it on a stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not just a one-off. That is Smiling Jack's nom de plume.
He had iguana on a stick. He had monkey on a stick. He's had snake on a stick.
And near the end of the movie, he wants to try someone else on a stick, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a big stick-based eater, old Smiling Jack. So we found out from Alejandro that there is that his
Alfonso.
name? Alfonso,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes, we found out from Alfonso that there's another contact that they have to go into the jungle to meet.
Yeah, a beautiful former associate of Ochabar whose name is Veronica?
Her name is Veronica, played by Elfidia Carrillo from previous episode Dangerous Passions. It is yet again the woman from Predator, Jameson.
Oh, no way!
Yes!
So this is what she's been up to.
Yes, actually, this movie came out the year before Predator, so this was introducing her here. Much like that previous episode, she's showing up here late into the third act to add some color to the movie. And once again, her co-star is someone from the Predator franchise, although it is Predator 2 this time, and not Carl Weathers. But anyway, she shows up. At first, it doesn't seem like she speaks any English. The guys are all immediately suspicious of her, as well they should be, because there's an ambush immediately, and guys in ski masks are shooting at them. And if the remaining boys had any qualms about taking a human life,
Not anymore, they don't.
Not anymore, or they don't.
It's game time.
With the one exception, of course, of Tom Wilson, who is reacting the way I feel like both of us would, Jameson, in that situation.
Biff freezes up. He's having like a panic attack or something. And then at one point, he just kind of seems resigned to the fact that he is going to get himself killed out here. So he attempts to walk into a line of fire.
Yeah, I think he's disassociating at that point where, like, the situation is so tense, his brain doesn't actively know how to process it.
Yeah.
So he's just like, there's like an animal part of his brain was just all like, I'm just gonna go home.
Yep.
I'm just gonna walk. And when that happens, I'm all like, oh no, they're gonna get Biff.
The only actor I kind of recognize of the foursome here.
And then Shrike sees this is happening, and he dives.
He tackles him to the ground.
Biff out of the way, and in fact, they don't get Biff. They get Shrike. They got Shrike. Damn it!
And Robert Duvall is out of the fucking movie.
He's
And
out of, I mean, there's not much movie left, but still,
Yeah.
the most competent person here, the one who actually knows
the one who I actually trust to rescue Harry he's out of the movie.
He doesn't even get a dying breath. He's just dead. He's just filled with bullets. He's just done. And amazingly, even though Shrike is dead, the other guys manage to shoot all of the other masked combatants. They rip the mask off of one of them to reveal that is the chief of police from the previous scene.
Yep.
I guess that's supposed to be a reveal. Kind of comes to nothing, but
Nope.
we already knew that guy was corrupt anyway.
Yeah, and we already knew that he had bad intentions with our boys. So I don't know. He was just on set, and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute! You played the police captain, didn't you? Weren't you earlier in this movie?" You're like, yeah, trying to get double billing here.
We can write that in.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
I get 2 paychecks this way.
Yeah, so they're all despondent at the loss of essentially their team leader, and they take Veronica as a captive. Smiling Jack is perhaps a little bit more shook than he wants to admit, and he is using tactics that the United States government is no stranger in using themselves, because he has tied Veronica to a table.
Means to torture her, puts a cigar out on her leg.
He notices that she has a knife tied to her leg, at which point in time I would ask the question, why were you lifting her skirt up in the first place, Jack?
Yeah.
Kind of not great, kind of not a great look.
Yeah, this is the part of the movie where I'm just like, Gary Busey, you're an absolute highlight, but you're losing points for me on this kind of behavior.
Look, Smiling Jack is no saint.
Yeah.
He never claimed to be a saint.
No.
But when you're in a pinch, you want him in your corner.
Pretty much, yeah.
But Corey won't have any of this, so
Yeah.
he comes in and he knocks Jack out. He says, "Get out of here. We're not going to
Yeah.
we're not going to torture anyone.
Yeah.
We're not like them."
Yeah, he unties Veronica. He puts her skirt back down over, like, to protect her modesty there.
Sure.
So he's like, sort of,
Almost saw her ankle. My
yeah,
God.
Yeah. Excuse me, ma'am.
Heaven forfend.
Yeah.
Glenn Frey is off in the corner doing cocaine.
Yeah.
They have like a moment where they're all like, "This is the reason Harry got kidnapped, is because of this." And he's all like, "Shut up! I like cocaine.
Yeah.
Cocaine's great." Did I mention I'm in Eagles?
Yeah.
This movie reminded me that you're not supposed to say the Eagles. It's still weird.
That is
right?
weird, yeah.
It's still weird that the name of the band is Eagles. I feel like no one says that.
No one gets that right.
No one gets that right.
The band's like, come on, guys, we're Eagles, not the Eagles. And we're like, shut up, Eagles.
Shut up, the Eagles.
Yeah. This is why the dude hates you. Yeah, and so what happens next? All our American buddies there, they go down to to a river, and they run into a fellow American, like just a friendly traveler who says like, "Hello,
fellow Americans.
Yeah.
How are you?"
They just kind of dismissively say like, "Oh, we're from Canada.
Yeah.
Fuck off."
I think this scene is meant to imply that at this point in time they're starting to get a little paranoid. They don't really know who to trust. Like
Maybe they're getting a little jaded.
possibly, but I feel like it's more.
This was a foolhardy
Yeah.
mission that they were going on, and now the reality has set in that like it's cost them a life. It's taken an absolute toll on them. They're dwindling in numbers. So yeah, I think they're getting a little colder.
And also, it's
the bravado is slipping.
Yeah, and also it's the fact that like you see a group of Americans in Colombia. They see like this actual guy who is literally just on vacation. He's literally just here to fish.
Yeah.
The rivers of Colombia or whatever. And he sees this guy. And at this point, you're right, Jameson. They've become so jaded at this point in time. They're all like, "Who's this motherfucker?
Yeah.
Fuck you. We're from Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't
Just like
you don't
every
know.
Canadian
Yeah.
when they're abroad.
Absolutely, yes. Talking with broad Chicagoan accents. Yes, but they almost leave Gary Busey behind. Gary Busey is a little sad that he got caught for almost doing a torture. But
they forgive him.
Well, they forgive him because also it's at this point in time, he is the most seasoned gunfighter at this point. So you're gonna want Smiling Jack on the team,
Which is such an unnerving proposition.
It
like,
really
in
is.
a situation like this, like you are trusting Gary Busey with your life.
Never a position you want to be in.
Yeah.
But no, they're all on the team. They start making a plan.
I want to just bring this up quite briefly. There's a scene at Ochabar's compound or something. He's congratulating the cocaine...
The chemist.
The chemist.
Yeah.
He's congratulating him on some good work. He's like just having like a brief bit of dialogue with his guy manning the radio. But I wrote this down. An hour and 19 minutes in this movie, we finally have two people who have a conversation in Spanish, and we get subtitles.
I noted that too. I thought that was interesting because there's lots of scenes where Spanish is being spoken. Shrike also speaks Spanish, which is another reason why he's a valuable member of the team, because he can translate what's going on. But yes, you're correct. Up until this point, none of this has been subtitled, which is a creative choice that directors make sometimes.
That was a good touch that I think Tarantino had for Inglourious Bastards.
Yep.
When people are having a conversation and you can't understand them, you're at a massive disadvantage.
If the characters don't understand what people are saying, the audience shouldn't know what the characters are saying. But I guess at this point in time, either Stuart Rosenberg or Alan Smithee decided, maybe now we can let the audience in on what these guys are saying.
Just this one time where we can get out the fact that Ochabar says to his chemist, good work, and to his radio guy, hey, keep an ear out for any suspicious activity. And that's it. That's the important thing the audience needed to know.
Information, yeah. There's a good 80s villain line here, too, where he goes up to his chemist and it's all like, here's your reward for making my cocaine. American cigarettes. Careful, these things will kill you. But that really is the extent of it.
So Veronica gives them the layout of Chabar's compound. They say, thanks.
Did you note who
you can go now.
Yeah, did you note who Veronica was and like what her whole deal was? Because she's if she used to work for, I think she used to work for Ochabar and has since defected.
Yeah.
But it's really quite hard to tell because we really learn nothing about this character. And yes, after this scene, she's gone from the movie. Probably for the best. She probably would have ended up dead.
Yeah.
So it's probably good for her to go on and continue living.
To face the predator and
face the predator. I mean, she's in the jungle, so that's right. Is that movie set in Colombia?
Vietnam, isn't it?
Vietnam, you're right. Yeah. It's one jungle. Jungle to jungle. What are you gonna do?
Is it Vietnam? I don't know.
I'll look it up. What happens next?
So, what are you gonna do when you get to the compound? Like, they just never had the future plans for it. Like, we'll figure it out later.
Corey starts like drawing in like the mud with like a stick, where it's all like, Ochabar's compound is here. This is where they're doing the thing.
This leaf is the
I guess presumably Veronica gave them that information.
Yeah.
So I have to.
So they're outside the compound. They delegate the tasks of what they're gonna do, realizing quite realistically that we might all die for doing this, but hands in, we're doing this for Harry.
And they also realize that's like you have to go over here, you have to set these things. There was a moment where they're like, Glenn Frey and Tom Wilson, you got to go to these places where the cocaine is being made, and as a diversion, you got to blow it up. And at this moment, I'm all like, when the fuck did they get explosives? No, this is homemade. This is literally just like we will find canisters of ether.
Hopefully, they have some lying around.
Hopefully, they have explosive. I guess it's a drug den, so they probably would have explosive chemicals. I imagine, but again, it's them making it up as they go.
Yeah. Do you know what to look for in this?
Exactly. There's jumping ahead a little bit, but there's a nice little moment where Tom Wilson is setting up his homemade explosive. I like the fact he grabs a red gas canister and then he smells it really quickly. Just to double check that it's a red gas canister, Tom. I'm pretty sure I know what liquid it. What you think? It's fucking Kool-Aid in there? Yeah. Come on. I thought that was funny. So that they kept that in.
So they sneak into the compound as the guards and the chemists or whatever are working or what have you. Gary Busey starts taking out people in the watchtowers with poison blow darts.
Well, he only takes out one guy with a poison blow dart. I would have liked to have seen a couple more people get darted. Thank you very much. Introduce that. And to only do it the one time.
Smiling Jack Abernathy is just a man of many talents.
Also, where was he hiding that?
I don't know.
Where did he?
Where was this earlier?
He just brought that with him. Yeah. Where did he have the poison? Glenn Frey goes into his building and he sees
it's the cocaine. So
and like I guess the implication is that like he starts like he starts looking at like the bags of cocaine, and they start like dancing. It's all like, join us or like whatever. Like he looks at them and they turn into like a big roast chicken. He starts rubbing his belly or something.
Yeah, he's losing focus on the mission.
Yeah. But he says,
not today, Coke.
he says something along the lines of all like, you gotta be kidding me. And it's all like, you knew this was a drug compound.
Yeah.
You must have known there would be lots of cocaine.
Yeah, you can't like set aside your Coke habit for like 5 goddamn minutes.
But he does. He
Yes.
realizes friendship is better than cocaine.
That's right.
And he blows it all up.
Yep.
And Harry and the ambassador are getting transported to like the 5th location that they've been in. To be fair, I think like if they were like 10 minutes later, this would be the time that Harry got a bullet in his head. I feel like Ochabar at this point in time is all like, okay, I'm finally done with Harry.
Well, they have like I don't know, the terrorists like set up, you have 1 week to meet our demands, so there is like a ticking clock element to it. Even though I think in the course of the movie, like 4 days pass, but I don't know, they jump up the...
Well, he bumps up the time frame too because he finds out through his network of spies that Harry's brother is here and they've come to get him.
Right.
And like, the thugs, the drug dealers, they burst into Harry's cell. Harry, not tied up or restrained at all, of course, is hiding behind the door, punches them out. It's all like, this must have happened like 3 or 4 times at this point in time. These guys are really bad. They're really bad at this kidnapping thing.
I mean, Harry's pretty fucking incredible.
He's pretty great.
If he's worth like going on this,
he is the coolest man in the world. I will admit.
I can see why people would risk their lives to get him back to Aurora, Illinois.
But yeah,
he's holding the whole town together.
After like the second time he tried to escape, it's just all like, okay, you're getting tied to a wall, motherfucker. But no, they never bothered to do it.
And he just like breaks the binds himself because this is Harry.
Starts chewing through them. Yeah, exactly. And the poor ambassador is just in a corner, silently soiling himself.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Another person who reacts the way anyone else would react in this situation.
Yeah.
But of course, the movie codes him as cowardly.
Because he's a government stooge.
Because he's a government stooge and he's reacting the way anyone would if you were kidnapped in a foreign country.
Yeah, that's right.
Poor guy. But they can't sneak around blow darting people forever. Unfortunately, they do bump into a guy and he falls backward and his machine gun goes off. So they gotta machine gun him. And now everyone knows they're there. And the final firefight happens.
Yeah.
And people and the bodies are flying. And
things are exploding all around them.
Things are exploding. And they see Harry being carried away, but not carried away. He's not like, he doesn't have Mark Harmon over his shoulder like Princess Daisy or something. But no, he's being taken away by gunpoint. So Corey and Smiling Jack go after him, and there's a standoff where Ochabar's got the gun to Harry's head, and Smiling Jack says, "You son of a bitch, I'll eat you on a stick." And I'm like, God bless you, Smiling Jack.
Yeah, and famous last words, because that's when Gary Busey gets gunned down.
He gets got.
Yeah.
There was bound to be a body count.
Yeah.
In this movie, and
Absolutely,
he was too pure for this world. But you know what? He died saving the day.
That's true.
And they managed to find him. Somehow they end up on the docks. And Harry gets away because I think Glenn Frey comes in and rescues him. But Corey and Ochabar,
they have a tussle in the water.
and Ochabar has a knife, and it looks like he's gonna get the better of him. And Harry's desperately trying to saw off his ropes. He's like, I gotta
help my brother.
My brother's here. I gotta save him. And they go under. And what's gonna happen? And
who's gonna surface? Who's gonna climb up to the docks? And at first, it's Ochabar. Has
the
Corey
hero of this movie has met his end. How tragic!
But then, as he climbs onto the dock, we see that the knife is in the back, and he, with his dying breath, he climbed out of the water.
Right, and then
Corey's alive.
And then 5 minutes later, Corey surfaces. I'm all like, oh, he really took his time. His foot stuck under a rock or something.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to take that much time. So they all get into the speedboat, but they realize,
oh, we're missing someone.
What
Biff.
happened to Bob?
Yeah.
Bob, Biff, whatever.
Yeah.
Tom Wilson.
He's pinned down. He's out of ammo, and the enemy guards are coming after him.
Because they did mention in an earlier scene, they were saying, like, we got to do this, we got to blow this up here. And then Gary Busey says, one of us has to stay behind to, like, draw fire away from them. Who's it going to be with the loaded understanding that whoever this is might not make it out.
Yeah.
And to sort of redeem himself for inadvertently getting Shrike killed, Tom Wilson says, "I'll do it. I'll be the one to stay behind."
This is my fate. Yeah.
And it doesn't look like things are gonna gonna go well for Biff because, of course, his leg is injured from the previous scene, and he's out of bullets, and he's pinned down, and people are coming, and it looks like it's all over.
But who should come to his rescue but Harry himself?
But his best buddies! His best buddies are all there.
Never leave a man behind.
is-
We're better than the U.S. Marines here.
It is really funny that
They draw the fire, but Harry's the one who like lifts them up and carries
it's
them
so
away.
like the one guy who, if he died at this point, it would be like such a kick in the nuts because all like, Harry, you were the entire reason we're here in the first place. Don't go being a hero, goddammit.
Yeah, we lost the lives of 2 people to get you home. You know what? I would have been okay if Biff died in this movie.
I mean, it would have been added an additional layer of catharsis.
I think so.
It's only 2 people died. It's only Duvall and Busey.
Yeah.
end up dead.
Yeah, the heavy hitters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
the Oscar nominees. Yeah.
Yeah, here was my thought on this.
I definitely thought one of the 4 dudes wouldn't make it.
I think what this movie needed was one character to be really down on his luck. Let's say that it was someone who, divorced from his wife, under an avalanche of debt. Nothing's going well in his life, hates his job, hates like the direction he's going on. And going on this rescue mission is the one. Yeah. If he were to die on this, it would be like him doing something good with his life that he can be proud of.
His life would have meaning.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the oil drillers going up to blow up the asteroid.
Right.
This is the one thing that we know how to do. Yeah. Like, we learn that Kurt has a family. That is all of like the character development he gets.
Yeah.
Glenn Frey and Tom Wilson, we kind of don't know anything about them.
Not really.
Glenn Frey loves the cocaine.
And apparently he's the shop steward at the factory, so he's doing okay.
And we know that we have Harry Bob has Harry to thank for his job, because we learned that like he got fired from somewhere else and Harry hired him on the spot. So that's why like he's on the mission,
right,
or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see a different cut of this movie where Biff doesn't make it. But also, I don't mind that he lived. It's nice. It's nice. They're all buddies.
Sure, yeah. Like I just seeing him do like a heroic sacrifice like that would have kind of put this movie way over the top for me at this point. But whatever, I'm just happy that all our good old boys make it home okay.
All of our boys make it. The ambassador is also there, and they get away on the speedboat, and Osabar's entire
operation goes up in flames.
And hoorah, America!
I still love how like they're in the middle of fucking nowhere, no idea where they're going.
Yeah.
like deep in enemy territory.
Where are we gonna go? This way.
This way.
Exactly. We don't have our guide anymore, so we don't know where we're going.
We're gonna fanboat our way back to Illinois.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out as we always do.
And then we cut back to the plant. Don't even really know what this plant does. It's like sewer wattage treatment. They say that they're plumbers, but I don't really know what.
I think they manufacture the steel piping for
it,
or the pipe fitters.
That sounds about right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But there's like a big announcement over the PA system. It's like, attention everyone, good news, Harry's been saved.
Kurt is already back at work. That's kind of amazing. He didn't want to take I guess he used up all of his personal days.
Yeah. Doesn't want to take a minute to like kind of process this, but
exactly, it's not like he's traumatized or anything.
In this economy,
almost dying.
Yeah,
no, he has to go back to work immediately.
Yeah,
and then we cut to the bar, and we have
they cut to like the veterans hall where they celebrate by having like a fucking polka party.
Oh yeah,
like this would have been like any kind of music for this kind of scene would be inappropriate if it's not like classical instrumental music of like very patriotic sounding stuff, sweeping orchestral. Why did it have to be fucking polka? It took me right out of the scene.
Because it's Illinois, the Bears, that type of stuff.
All right.
That's Chicago, right? Yeah, the Bears.
The Bears, yeah.
They like bratwurst, they like polka, they like beer.
Maybe.
Okay,
fine.
that type of stuff.
I don't know, it just took me out of the movie.
But everyone's dancing, everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
Kurt and Harry Sr. are already there. They're already dancing. And then the boys come in, and Harry's in a suit, and he's looking great. They're all looking great.
Yeah.
Biff has a crutch, but they're all doing good. And they see Kurt in the corner, and you think there's going to be a moment, because they've clearly told Harry Kurt also came, but then he freaking bailed halfway through.
That's right. He turned tail and ran.
But all is forgiven, and the friends are back. And then Corey gets up, and he calls for a moment of silence, and he talks to the entire crowd and says, "I'd like everyone to raise a glass to Smiling Jack and Shrike, who gave their lives to save Harry." Oh, no, wait, I'm checking my notes here. They are never referenced.
Nope.
They are mentioned once. Kind of bad form. Those two men died. At the very least, have like photos of them up or something.
Yeah. Aurora, Illinois is now without one of their industry leaders.
Absolutely, he was like a minor celebrity.
Yeah.
You gotta reference the fact that he went to Columbia and never came back.
Whatever happened to Smiling Jack?
Also, he paid for your trip, motherfucker.
Yeah, maybe acknowledge
How
that.
about a moment of silence? 2 men are dead.
Yeah.
But nope, the movie just cuts the credits immediately. There's never any reference to the senseless life that's been lost. R.I.P.
Only acknowledge that, like, okay, Harry's back. That's all we kind of cared about.
They got him
to the point where, like, yeah, the banner just says like "Welcome home, Harry, and our heroes." And like, you know, these guys have fucking names, you know.
Welcome home, Harry, and the rest.
And Harry and the boys, but mostly Harry.
All right. Well, they did it. They got him.
Yeah, they did. They got Harry.
Any
Additional-
any loose thoughts that you want to add to this discussion?
At the very beginning of the movie, at the compound where Harry is kidnapped, there is a very jumbled audio cut that I noticed where he's talking to the ambassador and he says, "I can't wait to get back home." And the ambassador says, "You never appreciate America, cut, until you experience somewhere else." And that is just 2 takes smashed together.
But you never really appreciate America until you've spent 6 months someplace else.
They weren't wearing lapel mics. That was the boom mic being moved a different degree and angle.
I also know, I don't normally notice these things, but I definitely noticed like some sound issues too. There was also a scene where the initial scene where like Shrike is going to, they're in like Alfonso's compound or whatever, and they're just like walking upstairs. And as they're walking upstairs, their voices get fainter and fainter. I was kind of all like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's got some interesting stuff.
There is like a couple of technical mishaps on this, and just at one point while they're walking through the jungle, they hear like the cry of an animal, and I swear to God, it was just like the sound of a common loon in the middle of like the jungle. I don't know how far south loons fly in the wintertime, but
Smiling Jack's all like, I've had loon on a stick.
I've had loon on a stick. Yeah.
Aha! I don't know. At one point in time when they're in the when the federal the not federales scoop them up and they're done tasering Shrike, the corrupt police captain says, "All right, go get the pretty one." And in the back of my head is all like, God, it would be so funny if there was just a smash cut to Gary Busey at this point in time.
He's a beauty in our eyes.
Of course they're talking about Corey.
Yeah.
But let's get Harry.
Yeah.
Jameson. Certain something, whole lot of nothing.
Oh yeah, this movie certainly has a certain something.
Yeah, I think we had a hell of a fun time talking about it.
It had a lot of things going for it. Like, I made the point that it seemed like it was 2 different movies. Had it stayed on like the more ridiculous comedic, bunch of buddies go into a foreign country to retrieve their buddy. Had it stayed in that lane, I would have had a goofy good time with it. As it veers more into a more sensible war movie, like a rescue mission type film, there was just like a degree of, this is taking like too serious of a turn. This feels like it would start dragging, and yet it was captivating enough. So yeah, a weird issue of tone with this movie that seems to correct itself. I don't know how I would appreciate that more on like a second viewing if I were to ever do that, but I don't know, the first time experience it made for an enjoyable watch.
I pretty much mostly agree with that. Look, this film is not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but if you want to watch like a cheesy men on a mission action movie for on a Sunday afternoon, which is when I watched it, then yeah, this delivers basically everything that it promises. It's some good escapist jingoistic fun. Like, don't think too hard about its politics, but you'll enjoy some of the performances and just one of the most random assortment of actors ever established into one of these things. Like, if you want to see this collection of guys in a movie, this collection of guys and the woman from Predator, like that's, I mean, that's pretty wild.
Well, interesting combination that comes together, oddly enough, near the end.
If you're an Eagles fan, this is like the only chance you have to watch Glenn Frey in a movie.
One of 2.
And he's pretty good.
Yeah, they're all pretty good. It's interesting that the director decided to take their name off a project like this. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of in this. Like, maybe you disagree with some of the choices that the producers had made with this without your consent, but you know what? acknowledge that like maybe some of this was helpful to the movie.
Yeah, I mean, like all in all, you know, I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. I actually think maybe you didn't need every scene with Mark Harmon in the movie, but certainly you needed the opening scene of him getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
That is essential,
Yeah.
actually, to your movie, and the fact that was one of the sticking points that made him take his name off of the movie is very odd.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
also
get over yourself there, man. Like, this was a good call. You know,
Get over yourself, famed director of countless Paul Newman movies.
Who do you think you are?
Some hack or whatever.
The nerve.
But yeah, I mean, like, the name Alan Smithee implies a certain level of incompetence and poor filmmaking, and that's not this movie.
No.
Again, it's not like it's
not
like
it's not a masterpiece.
No, it's not a
and-
classic of the genre by any means, but like it definitely doesn't deserve the reputation that the Alan Smithee name comes with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Agreed.
A bit of a hidden gem within this director's filmography.
Yeah.
Will that continue on to next episode's movie? Who's
To be determined.
To be determined. If I'm shaking up the 8-ball, it would say outlook not so good. But we'll get there when we get there. But for the time being, that was Let's Get It. For the last time, we'll get it, Harry.
We got Harry.
We got Harry. Boy, did we. Directed by Alan Smithee.
Such a stupid tie.
It's such a great thing to say. It's like it's you know it's in the pantheon of grabbers and
Yeah.
like other movies that we've covered.
Yeah,
It's-
actually.
it's just fun to say the name over and over again.
It works on so many levels.
It really does.
Except as a movie title.
I like it.
Yeah.
But if you like this episode, please check out our back catalog of episodes. If you go further back into the episodes, you will notice that the podcast goes by the title, The Fuck Is This? Don't worry, it's the same show. It's just Jameson and me and a guest, and we're just having a laugh. We're just having a laugh, and we're just talking about movies, and we're having a good time. You can, if you're listening to us on YouTube, we're also on Spotify and vice versa. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for his fantastic theme music. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all of the other. We're not on Blue Sky yet. And you can follow me on Letterboxd. I'm Kaz Lesgard.
You can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to watch my cartoons and what have you. And I'll just leave you with something I know Gary Busey has said at one point. Woo! Woo! Because he's talking about trains and how whenever they pass, they're like an acknowledging of like a parallel universe.
He's not wrong.
No,
He's not wrong.
and the trains go woo woo.
Yeah.
All right.
Hope you're doing well, Gary.
Yeah.
Hope you're okay.
Yep.
All right, bye.
Bye.